Two more races in the books with Kubota High Roller Racing, with two more on the horizon this weekend. We discuss it all and more on this week's edition of the High Limit Room. Welcome back to the High Limit Room. I am Chase Rodman, the announcer for High Limit Racing. We'll be joined later on in the show by pit reporter for the series, Tony Laporta, and social media expert, Brian Walker. Before we get to them, we do want to look back on the weekend that was at the Central Arizona Raceway in Casa Grande. It was a fantastic weekend of racing action and a very, very good crowd at the Avanti Duel in the Desert. So we will start with Friday night and talk about some of the things that happened. Before we do that, though, did just want to talk about how incredible this facility was and all of the upgrades that they have been able to make to it here over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of months in preparation for this event. Brand new catch fence around the racetrack, new walls on both ends of the speedway with billboards all the way around. Looks super, super professional. New grandstands. They've got new paint and just new stuff all over the place. The guys over there at the Central Arizona Raceway, Jerry Petty and Brad Whitfield, have went out of their way to provide an incredible place to watch racing for all of those Arizona fans. It was the first national touring winged sprint car race in 6 years in the state, and it was the first winged 410 sprint car race at that track ever in its entire history, and you could tell that the fans did not want to miss out on the action on Friday night and even on Saturday. I mean, Saturday was even crazier, but Friday, you could not really find any empty seats in the house, so that was awesome to see that. 34 cars signed into the program on Friday, which is extremely good considering the past races that they have had in the Arizona area. An incredibly good field of race cars showed up at the 3/8 mile, and a little bit of an interesting storyline going into the night. One of our full-time high limit drivers, one of our Race Redeem Foundation Rookie of the Year contenders, that being Cy Lynch, was not in the field, albeit his car was still in the field, as he hired Josh Boffman to drive the car as Cy was at his brother's wedding in Mexico, and obviously he is running for points, and so they needed to get that car on the racetrack. Boffman would end up making the show in his High Limit Racing debut and his first start in a sprint car in 3 or 4 years. It was an impressive, debut for him with the series. An impressive debut behind the wheel of that car, and so did want to give a shout out to Josh Boffman. Haven't seen him racing in a long time, and he picked it up like where he just left off, right? So that was awesome to see for him. In the feature, it was all Aaron Reitzel. He would end up in victory lane on night one of the Avanti Duel in the Desert. It would be his second win in a row after he had just also went quick time for the second race in a row, dating back to the Parasado Speedway a week ago. And interestingly enough, going into this race, he was the only one with some experience at the track. Just crazy how that works out, that the only guy with experience ends up getting the win. I know it was a long time ago. It was with the wing without the wing on top of the car, but it was definitely still something to be talked about. He battled with Tyler Courtney late in the race, and then towards the end of the race, Sunshine tried to run the bottom of the speedway, got in the slick, kind of missed the rubber that was kind of developing on the top of the track, and Reitzel was able to go around the outside of him off of turn number 4, and he would lead the final 5 laps. Do wish we could have seen what could have happened if the race played out in traffic, because once they got to the back of the field, Aaron Reitzel and Tyler Courtney back and forth, and it did look like Justin Peck had a car to contend with those top two drivers once they kind of got slowed down by some of the traffic, but we did not get to see that. There were a couple of yellows that took them out of traffic, but still, it was a very, very entertaining race, and mentioned it throughout the broadcast on Friday that Central Arizona Raceway, these guys are flying around this place, and they are still able to be side by side, throw sliders. It was very, very intense all the way through that 25-lap main event. Now, the top 10 in that race, Aaron Reitzel, as we mentioned, would get the win. Tyler Courtney, with his best finish of the year, would end up in second. Justin Peck, his best finish of the season, was in the third position. Brad Sweet, first race off of the podium for 2025 with High Limit, he ended up in 4th. Tanner Holmes continued to show speed in the Tarleton Racing 21. He was in 5th. And then two more guys getting their best finish of the year, with Spencer Baston in 6th and Daston Persley 7th. 8th was Brent Marks, and 9th, yet another driver getting his best finish of the year, Brenham Crouch, and then Rico Abreu rounded out the top 10 on night 1 of the Avanti Duel in the Desert. Reitzel's win, he went from 9th to 4th in the overall point standings, and he would not be done there. He would move up even farther in the points, but incredible to go from up up 5 positions in one night of racing action, and Reitzel has been red hot here recently with the series, and we were able to talk to him after the win at the Central Arizona Raceway on Friday night.
I definitely felt like we were better, but clean air, he was just good enough where I couldn't get close enough to do anything about it, and we got him that one time, and I thought that was it, and the chicken caused the yellow there, and just luckily we got to traffic, and I felt the rubber a lap or two before that, and I don't think he knew it was there yet, and just kind of slid across, and it was just enough for me to sneak by. So it was great. It's amazing right now to be fast. It feels so good, so damn good to be fast.
Impressive stuff there from Aaron Reitzel as he would get his second win in a row. Only one other driver has 2 wins so far this year, and that is Brad Sweet, which we'll get to here in just a few moments. As we now move on to Saturday, the finale of the Avanti Duel in the Desert. 33 cars signed in for that Saturday program, and I cannot express this enough, but the crowd was absolutely massive. We were having to tell people all night long to get to know your neighbors a little bit better because, there was so many people there that they ran out of seats. It was standing room only, and that's exactly what you want to see when you go to a Highland Racing event. Do want to give a shout out to one of our Race Reading Foundation Rookie of the Year contenders, that being Dason Persley. He was the final car out in Flight A of qualifying, and he was able to grab his first career Capital Custom Trailer Quick Time Award, and he would go on to finish in the top 10 for the second night in a row. In that feature event, he would end up in 9th, and Persley, Tony Laporta able to catch up with him before the features and before the racing started on Saturday night, and he was pretty excited after his run on Friday, and that momentum carried into Saturday with that quick time and another top 10.
It definitely builds up a little more confidence, as everyone says. Racing, I feel like, is such mental and a confident-driven sport that it allows you to, once you start building that little bit of confidence, you see it kind of in racers with Brad and everyone, that they just go on these runs, and I feel like that's what you continue to have to do, is build on each run and just make it a little bit better each night.
Getting into the feature event on the Saturday night portion of the Avanti Duel in the Desert, it was Casey Kane. Yet another great run from him and another opportunity for him to try and win that first ever National Touring Sprint Car race. He would lead to the field to the green flag after winning the FK Rodden's Dash in dominating fashion. And mind you, he has been racing for a long time against series like High Limit, series like the World of Outlaws. His first ever World of Outlaws start was 1997. He has nearly 300 starts between the two series and still looking for that first career victory between the two of them. And he would look extremely strong to start off the main event. He would lead the first 10 laps of that feature, but maybe stayed on the bottom a little bit too long in that feature. And Brad Sweet, his higher driver, would drive around the outside of him and take the race lead away. And he would lead the final 15 laps and never look back for his second win of the season. But Casey Kane would end up in second yet again. His second place finish in a span of 8 days. Remember, back to Kern County Raceway, the Friday previous, he ran second to Brad Sweet there as well. But it didn't come easy. He had to battle hard with Tyler Courtney, a couple of sliders, a couple of close moments throughout that main event. But Casey Kane was very, very good once again, and it's been fun to watch him, especially considering the storyline going into Las Vegas, where he did not have a crew chief anymore. It was kind of crew chief by committee in that camp, and so far things have went pretty well. 3 top 10s, including 2 second place finishes to open up the 2025 calendar. And it's even more impressive that Casey Kane ran second on Saturday after having a tough run on Friday, when he ended up in the 15th position in the main event. Now, looking at the top 10 for the Saturday portion, it was Brad Sweet getting the win, his second win of the season. Casey Kane was in second. Tyler Courtney, another podium run, in third. Fourth went to Aaron Reitzel. Fifth went to Rico Abreu. And then Justin Peck with back-to-back top 10 finishes. Robbie Price, shout out to him. It's been a rough stretch here with him with High Limit Racing, but he made the dash and he would end up in the 7th position, his best career High Limit Racing main event run. Congrats to Robbie Price on a really, really solid run there. Brent Marks 8th, Dason Persley 9th, and Spencer Baston 10th. Justin Peck, Persley, and Baston all with their first time this year finishing back-to-back top 10s. So that is very important because those 3 guys have struggled throughout the year, and so it looks like they're maybe getting things turned around on each of their respective programs. Speaking of their programs, programs. Justin Peck, that Ford Performance engine, that has been in the news here a lot recently in sprint car racing, with Donnie Schatz and TSR saying that they are not running those engines right now for points with the World of Outlaws. But Justin Peck and Rudine Racing, they are committed to the Ford Performance engine program, and Justin Peck was able to talk with Brian Walker more about that in this week's session of After the Checkers.
Our engine program is not really where we want it to be. It's not where we need it to be. Ford knows, Ron Shaver knows, and it's something that we're working through. Hopefully, I think it's just a matter of getting our stuff ironed out, just kind of changing our package, or our engine package around a little bit, maybe running some different configurations. We've got some new stuff coming within the next month or two, so kind of just trying to scrape by at the moment. I really like working with Ron Shaver and the Ford guys. And we all are saying the same thing. I mean, we all see what's going on. We all can read the data, and we're trying to make improvements. And I know we will. It's just a matter of time. And in the meantime, we've kind of been able to fuel our stuff a little bit different right now. Kind of run a little bit different gear. It seems to kind of have woken the engine up a little bit and brought it to life. So we'll just roll with the punches right now and try to make the best of what we got.
So the top 10 in points after the 2 nights at Arizona Speedway look like this. Brad Sweet continues to show the way at the top of the heap. Tyler Courtney is second in points. He is 47 behind. Aaron Reitzel goes from 9th to 3rd in points in 2 races. He is now 77 behind Brad Sweet. Brent Marks is 82 back in 4th. And Rico Abreu 92 back in 5th. Justin Peck 102 points behind. Tanner Holmes 103. Casey Kane is in 8th at 105 behind Brad Sweet. Kayla Montgomery minus 135 and 150 back to Austin McCarl. So that is the current top 10 as we head into next weekend's action. Speaking of next weekend's action, we were supposed to have a race at the Vado Speedway Park, but if you missed it on Monday, Highland Racing announced that that race will be canceled due to extremely high winds forecasted for Tuesday night's event. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to stop in at one of the best facilities in all of dirt track racing. There is forecasted gusts of up to 50 miles per hour and sustained winds from 25 to 30 miles per hour as well. In my opinion, it is certainly the correct call by high limit officials to cancel this race, as we've already seen a couple of incidents this year concerning the wind, not only with high limit, but the World of Outlaws as well. Wind has been a hot topic here recently, and so in favor of safety, the high limit officials have canceled the race Tuesday night at the Vado Speedway Park. So that leaves us with 2 more races before we go into a 3-week hibernation. On Friday, it's going to be our first of 5 visits to the Texas area as we go to the Route 66 Motor Speedway in Amarillo, Texas. Race number 7 of 2025, 3/8 mile racetrack that opened back in 1994. This Friday night's race will be a $12,000 to win show, $1,200 to take the green flag. We are expecting a full field of cars to show up for that one. There have been a total of 4 410 wing sprint car races that have been held at that track, all of them under the ASCS Elite Outlaw sanctioning body, and taking place just over the last 2 years, in 2024 and in 2023. Friday night will be, however, the first ever National Touring Series event held at that Amarillo, Texas facility. Out of the 14 Highland Racing regulars, only 2 drivers have been there before, and it's 2 of our Texas natives, Aaron Reitzel and Chase Randall. Both have previous experience at that racetrack, so much like Arizona Speedway, a majority of the full-time contenders will be seeing a new racetrack. So once again, this is definitely a wild card. I don't think really anybody knows what to expect out of this racetrack come Friday night. Looking at the track record, it was set by Noah Gass, the former full-timer with the World of Outlaws. It was set last year on June 8th of 2024 with a lap time of 12.440 seconds. So we'll see if we can get a new track record going down there at the Route 66 Motor Speedway. A new track for me, a new track for all of the Highland Racing staff, and obviously a new track for a ton of the drivers that follow the series full-time this year, so it should be interesting to see how things play out at the Route 66 Motor Speedway on Friday night. Then on Saturday night, we wrap up this kind of western portion swing at the beginning of the Highland Racing schedule at the Dodge City Raceway Park in Dodge City, Kansas. Obviously, that'll be race number 8 of 2025, and once again, a standard $12,000 to win show and $1,200 to start. We are once again expecting a full field of cars over there at DCRP. This is one of the best tracks in all of dirt track racing as far as the facility goes. It's a 3/8 mile that has played host to the World of Outlaws, USAC sprint cars, ASCS sprint cars, all kinds of different big-time racing series before. It's even been a pavement track in the past that's hosted the NASCAR Truck Series, but now it's dirt. And like I said, it is one of the best facilities that we will go to this year. And so we are expecting a pretty healthy crowd over there at DCRP, and we are looking forward to getting over there for the first time in series history. Series point leader Brad Sweet does have a World of Outlaws win to his credit at this racetrack. That took place back in 2019. 4 of the High Limit Racing regulars have been there in the past. Chase Randall, the aforementioned Brad Sweet, Brent Marks, and Rico Abreu have all been there before, so they do have a little bit of experience at this racetrack. Ian Madsen actually holds the current track record at the racetrack at 11.759 seconds. That was set back on October 20th of 2018. So we'll see what happens over there at DCRP. There hasn't been a big time national touring series there in a long time, and so hopefully the fans come out in big groups, and we hope to see you all there. If you can't make it, make sure to watch live on FloRacing this weekend, April 4th at Amarillo and April 5th at the Dodge City Raceway Park. Now, before we get into a little discussion about what's coming up next with Brian Walker and Tony Laporta, Laporta was able to stop in with one of our full-time contenders, currently sitting 4th in the overall point standings, and that is Brent Marks.
Just an average middle of the spring day here in beautiful Las Cruces, New Mexico. That's where you can find Brent Marks of the Murray Marks Motorsports team and his crew doing a little bit of parking lot maintenance. Scheduled to race at Vado, plans have changed, so this kind of sends you and your team into a bit of a unique situation. With being co-owner of this operation and being out on the road, you're responsible for this truck, this trailer, this car, and these guys go. What's your life like right now?
A little stressful at the moment. We were just actually talking earlier about what we're gonna do, just because the weather don't look all that great for this weekend for us. So trying to figure out logistically where we're gonna go and what we're gonna do. It's a bummer that Vado got canceled tomorrow because of the wind, and I was really looking forward to getting there. So it's just too darn beautiful not to race. But unfortunately, when we're up against high winds like that, it's just not very good for us. So. I guess that was a good call there. Just really wish we could get some racing in this week out here. Just just beautiful weather, beautiful area. It's just so my life right now is just a little stressful. Just trying to figure out what to do. We have a 3-week break coming up with High Limit, so I'd already planned on taking that time off, but also being in a position that I am in too, can't miss a whole lot of racing either. So we're just trying to figure out what we're doing, and I'm not quite sure yet.
And I think the stress really comes from, like I said when I asked you, you're responsible for these guys and where they stay and where this truck goes and finding a place where it can park and making sure everybody has a bed and a room to sleep in. Does that ever just get like, whoa, this is a lot, man, I didn't sign up for all that?
Well, sometimes, we, this hotel parking lot we're standing at right now, we weren't scheduled to be here, so where I had my guys staying at, they weren't able to park at, so we had last minute yesterday trying to find a new place to stay. So that's, something that, when we go to new places, I'm just using Google Maps, just trying to figure out areas that we can park at. And when you see a Google Map view and tractor trailers parked in an area, it's like you just assume that, you're able to park there. But sometimes that's not true. So we ran into that yesterday. And, another thing that we're running into the next couple of days too is, we have really high winds, dangerous winds, 60-mile-an-hour gusts. So I'm trying to figure out where they can go. I don't want them driving through that. It's very dangerous. So just trying to figure out where we need to stay, where we need to be by certain times, so that way we can avoid that type of stuff. And, just things you don't think about whenever you are booking these hotels. So we got to figure out if we're still okay here, which I think we are for the next couple of days, and then maybe move over to Amarillo or, where the truck and trailer is going to be. But it just depends on what happens this weekend with racing, and hopefully the weather gets better in the next couple of days, so that way that part will be a little easier. But we get it figured out like we always do. It's just sometimes it's stressful, but we always figure out a way, figure out what's best for the team, and obviously I talk to everybody about it too. So I just don't tell them where they're going and just deal with it. So we just, if I have an idea, I talk to them about it. If they have a better idea, then I go with that. So they're really in control of where this thing gets where it goes, how to get from point A to point B, and I just do the best I can to help them. Point it out, yeah.
Again, the last thing I want to ask you about
Yeah.
before we wrap up here, because you guys are out here maintenancing and you got to get back to work. Pair of 8th place finishes at Central Arizona. This West Coast swing has not been terrible to you. On Dirt 2, Season 2, Episode 3, that you were kind of the focus of, you talked about how different the West and the East Coasts of this country when it comes to dirt racing are.
Yeah.
Not a bad West Coast swing for you as we start to head back east. I mean, what's the plan? Are you going to buy property out here?
No, definitely not. I'm actually, very, very excited with how our West Coast swing has gone. Obviously I want to do better, but we're leaps ahead of what we were. So, but yeah, third Season 2 there, whenever, the cameras are on us, it was kind of like a frustrating moment of the year for me. Just coming, through the West Coast, struggling, getting back east, going to Tuscarora 50, an event that we usually contend for a win at. Just we're not able to even be close to contending for a win there, even be in the mix. So that was just a super frustrating time. But anyways, so, the West Coast here, this swing has been pretty. We only had really one bad finish. And obviously, we hope for more. We want to be better, but at the same time, to come away here with as many top 10s as we have, and then had a couple top 5s. I mean, that's great for us right now. So we're just building on it, just where we're better than what we were in the past, and we'll just keep striving to be better out here.
All right, well, we're going to let Brent Marks and his team get back to the parking lot party they're having here in the parking lot. What is this? The Wyndham? What do we got?
This is something in Kanto. It's
nice and local.
It's a local hotel.
Okay, we like that. Brent
It's
Marks,
actually really nice inside. So
he supports local businesses.
Yeah.
You should support him. They're doing a little bit of maintenance out here. You're going to get to catch him on track. The next time High Limit goes racing, we're waiting to find out exactly when that'll be. Brent, thanks for talking.
All right, thank you.
All right, now getting into our final segment of the High Limit Room, we are now joined by pit reporter with the series, Tony Laporta, and social media expert Brian Walker. Here we're going to talk about some of the odds for the upcoming races and the past races as well, and who you might be able to pick. If you would like to get involved with High Limit Racing a little bit more, you can go to nxtbets.com/playhlr, and while you're there, you can get a sign-up bonus, claim that, and check to see which sportsbooks are available in your area. So before we get into it, did want to mention that we all have the same background going on here. We are in the Comfort Inn and Suites in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Unfortunately, Vano did get rained out, but we're hanging out here for a couple of days. I'm in room 208. Tony, I don't know what room you're in, but we're on the same floor, right?
I'm not telling you what room I'm in either.
He's 229. I'm literally next door to you, Chase, 206.
Okay, so we're all hanging out on the second floor.
Sorry, Tony.
That's how you get stuff slid under your door that you don't want underneath your door. I'm not sharing my room number.
Tony's mattress is going to end up in the shower somehow. Now, 229. Have you ever seen that before? My dad told me that used to happen back in the day when he was on the road. Mattresses just end up in the shower. So
Craig Rodman has the wildest stories of being on the road.
He does. He certainly does. You guys got to hear all about him in Vegas. So let's get into it here, guys. We had a pretty solid weekend at Arizona. What a crowd, by the way. I cannot express it enough, Tony. The crowd was just electric. There was... It literally could not fit anybody else in there.
No, you couldn't, and I heard you having to make that call several times. Hey, everybody, let's tighten up in the grandstands, get a little bit closer, because we had to make room for so many extra people. Brad Whitfield, the promoter out there at Central Arizona, and his business partner, Jerry Petty of Avanti Windows and Doors. Wow. You talked about it in the opening. They put a lot of work into that place in 6 months. We all got a tour of it. Man, it paid off. That place looked really great this weekend, I thought.
It certainly did. Yeah, you were in the infield for most of the time. Brian, I'm sure you were down in the infield as well. We'll talk to you a little bit about the racing, because I mentioned it a few times on the broadcast that they were flat getting after it around that place and still able to race side by side and have some good moments throughout that feature on both nights.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of racers in the pits were especially pleasantly surprised with the racing. Like even Friday night, I think it rubbered with maybe 5 to go or something. But I mean, the first 20 laps were incredible. It was a great race between a little cat and mouse game between Sunshine and Reitzel chasing each other through traffic. And then we reworked the track on Saturday, and we still had it was racing enough to put on a good show for the fans. So I was pleasantly surprised. I know a lot of others were. And I'm excited to see what Brad, Jerry, everyone at Central Arizona does to make this event bigger for Kubota High Limit Racing. And also, they have Western World this year, right, with USAC later in the year. So I'm excited to see how they do there. And I think Arizona's back on the rise.
Yeah, and they did mention, the day after, that we are definitely going back there next year. So I don't see why we wouldn't after the crowd that showed up there. But, Brian, real quick, into the odds for Arizona. Aaron Reitzel wins again. He was still
Pays some money.
And he was still above plus 1,000, and I thought for sure after he got the win at Paris that we would not see him above plus 1,000 again, but that was not the case.
Yeah, I think his odds at Central Arizona night one when he won were maybe even a touch higher than they were at Paris. The DraftKings screenshot I had where he's plus 1,400 going into Friday night, and he won that. So I mean, that's a $10 bet pays out $150. So that's a pretty good chunk of change on. That's the best value going right now, I think. And then Saturday, Brad Sweet, obviously he's one of the favorites every race we go to. I think he was around plus 250. So if you hammered the favorite, you got a little bit of money, but Reitzel on Friday night was the big winner.
Certainly was. Now, Tony, we did have some good storylines this weekend for both nights, especially on Friday night. I think was the best storyline with 5 of our drivers in the top 10 getting their best finishes of the season. A couple of guys really, desperately needed those good runs. You think of Burnham Crouch, you think of Spencer Baston, Dason Persley for sure. I mean, he was outside the top 24 for 3 races in a row and was able to come out there and run 7th. And for a moment, I mean, he was almost on the podium, in the middle of the race. He was right up there running around the top 3.
Jerry Petty joked with him, kind of joked, maybe not so much joking. Apparently called Dason after the race in Paris wrapped up, after Dason was caught up in his 3rd straight opening lap race-ending wreck. And Jerry Petty, like I said, maybe joking, maybe not so joking, said, hey, Dason, when you come to my place, when you guys get to Central Arizona, I need you to do one thing for me. And Dason said, what's that, Jerry? And apparently Jerry said, get through the first lap. And that's exactly what they did. But you highlighted some other guys. Someone that I feel like we never talk about and probably is going to be talked about a bit more this year. Brenham Crouch, you mentioned him, Chase. Friday night was great. I mean, he qualified 2nd quick in his flight B, only behind Rico Abreu. Brenham went quicker than Brad Sweet, Spencer Baston, Austin McCarl. Some heavy hitters with us, looked good in his heat race. And then, to do what he did in the feature and get out of there with a 9th place finish after starting 8th, only dropping 1 spot in such a fast field. Brenham Crouch, that CJB Motorsports team, it's a new pairing. You take a grizzled veteran like Barry Jackson, you pair him with a pretty young, pretty inexperienced in a wing car, Brenham Crouch, and I don't know if a lot of people had high hopes for that pairing, but if people didn't have high hopes, I think Brenham and Barry together are proving those people wrong. But good night for Spencer. Great weekend for Dason Persley. Saw some good speed. And how about Brent Marks, too? Able to maintain some more speed than he typically has out on the western half of the U.S. Good weekend for a lot of drivers who needed it pretty badly.
You know what you call that?
What's that?
Arizona and serotonin.
Oh, I like that. Did you? Were you up all night coming up with that?
All night.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
am
good.
also a Brenham Crouch fan now. I'm cheering on him. I was already a fan, but I'm cheering him on more now that he imitated me. At the beginning of our broadcast, we have all those clips of the drivers, and he imitated my call to the green, which is hilarious.
See, you're a fan of Brenham doing your impression. I hate Tyler Courtney now for his impression of me welcoming the crowd and kicking things off. So I don't know what I did to offend Sunshine.
It was spot on.
I thought it was pretty close.
No.
This is Tony Laporta.
Yeah, he sounded. He sounded better than me, depending on who you ask.
Yeah. The people on Facebook, they are brutal. Brian, a good run as well this weekend for Justin Peck with 2 top 10 runs, including his first podium of the season. They did not get off to the best start, but all it takes is Kevin Rudin showing up to the racetrack, and now all of a sudden they've got speed. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, they've just... I talked to him a little bit after the checkers about how it's been like kind of an up and down start because obviously he goes out and, they started at World Finals last year with the Outlaws and they rattle off, I think, 2 podiums or 2 top 5s at least. And they sweep Volusia in the 360s, but they put the 410 back in and it's just like kind of, they're just riding the wave. They sweep Volusia. I think they missed a show one night with the Outlaws, and then the start of the high limit season was a little bit rough. I know they came through the field at Vegas, maybe a top 10 at Tulare, but then other than that, Kern and Paris were a little tough on the 26th. So to come out and get a podium on Friday night, especially the day of all the Ford news dropping with TSR pulling him out of the 15. That was a big confidence boost, I think. And then he still ran well on Saturday night, so it'll be interesting to see how they continue working on that program. I mean, it's still such a new pairing, so they're still finding their feet.
Can I pass along to you guys the secret that no one knows about Justin Peck and the Rudine Racing number 26 and why they do so well at tracks like Volusia and Central Arizona?
But then it won't be a secret.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right, but I'm just trying to be part of the community, get out, not just stay in my lane and help everybody here.
Okay.
Here's the deal, and I don't even know if the team knows this, so this is breaking news here. Flo, feel free to clip this if you guys need. Look at Volusia Speedway Park from way up above. Okay, it's got that kind of not so straight backstretch. It's got the back straightaway kind of curves all the way from turn 2 to turn 3. What was the front stretch doing at Central Arizona, Chase?
Wow, it was the same thing, the D shape. Yeah.
I think they really lean on momentum-style racetracks, and when they can keep the left side down on that number 26 and just keep it buried and make a little bit more speed and not really have to straighten out, but just keep the momentum wound up. A momentum racetrack is how I heard several drivers describe Central Arizona. I'm just saying, maybe expect to see a couple tracks built in the next couple of years by Kevin Rudine with some bowed straightaways. That's all I'm saying.
Skagit's going to be different when we get there later this year.
I'm betting against that. I'm going to NXT bets.
It's just going to be one. Skagit's just going to be a perfect circle.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Brian, going into Amarillo, one of my favorite things with High Limit the last 2 years is we have gone to places that nobody has ever seen before. Maybe like 1 or 2 drivers has been to the track. None of the staff members have been there with High Limit or anything like that. That is certainly the case when we get to Route 66 Motor Speedway on Friday. Have you seen any videos, any pictures of this place? I mean, I don't even know what to expect. And that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've talked to Brenham Crouch briefly about it, being from, he's from Lubbock, which is like under 2 hours away. And he said, so Brenham's never raced there. You talked about it, I think, in the opening that Reitzel and Randall have. But
I think his dad has been there. Leighton's been there, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. He said he grew up like his whole childhood going to Lubbock, and Leighton was racing. So he's been there a ton, but never raced. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. A bad note for the field is that Brad Sweet has debuted at 2 tracks this year, and he's won both times. So he went to Kern for the first time, won. Went to Central Arizona for the first time, second night, but won. So won't be surprising to see the 49 on top at Amarillo, but it'd be a pretty neat story if we get one of those 3 Texans we got to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance of that happening, Tony. We got 3 Texans in the field with Crouch, Reitzel, and Randall. And Randall has shown some pretty good speed here, kind of off and on. And that's kind of the thing with the rookies right now. They'll have a good weekend, then they'll have a bad weekend, then they'll kind of swap. One guy will be good one week, and the next guy's a little bit off. But Randall, maybe in his home state, could make something happen, maybe.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, and I know people are going to get sick of me just pushing this all the time, but you just described it really well, Chase, and the way you talked about how, one of them or 2 of them will have a really good night, and the other 2 might not, and then the next night it's completely flipped, or one of them will do well and 3 might not. The Race Rudine Foundation Rookie of the Year, Chase, here in 2025, the points battle for that Rookie of the Year title is going to be as hotly contested, if not more, than the overall championship with High Limit Racing this year. Write it down, spray paint it, tattoo it on yourself somewhere, Chase, where no one will see it. I'm just telling you, the Rookie of the Year fight is going to be a tight one all year long.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. And then on Saturday, Brian, we are going to the Dodge City Raceway Park. As I mentioned at the beginning, Brad Sweet has won there before, but we have had a couple of our full-timers be there with Brent Marks and Rico, and I think Chase Randall's been there as well. But that is a momentum track for sure. I've been there before. I was there for actually Jacob Allen's first ever World of Outlaws win. That is a momentum-based racetrack, and if Tony's onto something, the 26, maybe they can get going. Who knows?
Hey, just because Jacob Allen got his first win there, I'm going to vote Casey Kane gets his first win
Ooh, there. Yeah, that's good.
That'd be fun.
Wait, and we're talking about Dodge City, right? That's Saturday?
Yep.
Yes.
If we can, let's try to move that up to Texarkana so this Casey Kane Friday thing continues. I guess last night or Saturday night was
Texarkana's a Wednesday.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say not Texarkana. I meant to say Amarillo. I'll be in Amarillo by morning. That's what I meant to say.
Good song. Yeah, I don't know who sings it, but
who
it's
sang
good
it,
song.
Chase?
I don't
What?
know. I never know. Is
The
it George
King.
Strait? George
Yes.
Strait? Okay.
Good Lord.
if I don't know a country song, I just automatically,
It's no Tech
George
Nine.
Strait.
Yeah.
Tech Nine, yeah. Hey, that was the final song that played on the drive yesterday. Okay, I don't want to hear it. But Dodge City, I think you're right on that. I mean, that place, it's interesting. Like you said, it's very momentum based. I think that Casey Kane could potentially get that first win, like we saw with Jacob Allen a few years ago. And if that's the case, Brian, Casey Kane for the last couple of races has been like plus $1 million to win. Not $1 million, but like plus like 5,000. If I'm somebody watching Casey Kane's speed here recently at that racetrack, I might sprinkle $5 or so, a nickel on it.
Yeah, looks like last week he was around plus 8,000. So that'd be nice. That would cover rent for the month. That's for sure. I had the stat that so Casey Kane, but prior to this year, had ran 338 National Series races between the Outlaws and High Limit, not High Limits.
Yeah, that's not what it's called.
I hate that.
Yep.
And his best run was third twice with the Outlaws. He ran third at Huset's and third at Volusia. And now within 9 days, he goes out and rattles off a second at Kern. And then he leads laps at Central Arizona, runs second again. And this led me, I have a question for you guys. Tony, I didn't warn you. So we have some KKR trivia.
He did warn me, though.
I did warn Chase. He texted me this.
That makes sense. That does add up. It's not pick on Chase Day anymore.
No.
Pick on Tony Day.
After Saturday night, there have been 18 1-2 finishes for Casey Kane Racing with either the Outlaws or High Limit. Obviously, the 16 prior were with the Outlaws and 2 this year. 8 drivers have supplied those 1-2 finishes. Who are they? Go.
Okay, Tony, you go first.
Oh, man. I mean, Darren Pittman,
Correct.
Cody Dara, Brad, Casey.
What's going on there?
Balloons.
Why are there balloons? Is this a distraction technique?
Clip that.
Sorry. You had Dara, Sweet, and who?
Pittman. What is going on with these balloons?
You're going to have to live with it, man.
Apparently, when you count on this app, it sends a balloon animation.
This was
up.
not planned.
Mine's not working.
I clearly can't focus on this question because
All right,
you guys
I'll put
are
him down. I'll
distracting
put him
me.
down. I'll put him down.
I mean, I'm so off my game. I gave you 50% of the 8, Brian. Give me the other 4. I don't even know where we are.
I'll go. Saldana.
Yep, that was the first.
Paul McMahon.
Yep.
Let me think here.
I like that face.
There's one that I think is kind of tough. He didn't race as much for them, and it was a while ago. But he's a Hall of Famer.
We're missing 2 of them. Hall of Famer, that should narrow it down, right?
I believe he's a Hall of Famer. If not, he definitely should be. I feel like he went in recently. Delansky's the one I was thinking about.
Delansky, I think, is in the Hall, maybe? He should, like you said, he should be. Yeah.
The full 8 was Saldana, Delansky, McMahon, Dara, Sweet, Pittman, McFadden, and Kane.
Oh, McFadden.
McFadden.
Yeah.
Tony, how'd you forget McFadden? You love Australians.
You do love Australians.
Chase, how'd you forget McFadden?
That's true. And that's pretty bad. That's really bad.
Mavo's going to be disappointed there.
Him and Maverick on episode 3 of Dirt 2. I only got through half of it so far, but Maverick McFadden should have his own show. Flow, make it happen, clip it, post it, be about it.
I'm just glad your mic was on for that one.
I haven't gotten to that part of the show yet.
Oh, you turned it off.
Yeah, I heard I looked pretty stupid.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
ROD man was calling you out.
ROD man. ROD man, that's for sure. Oh, Brian, do 2 thumbs down. I think I've seen this before. Watch this.
Oh,
Yep.
This is awesome.
Yeah, 2 thumbs down. And 2 thumbs up's actually kind of happy. There's like fireworks that go off, I think.
This is going off the rails so fast.
This is new boot goofing.
Well, hopefully we informed our viewers on maybe some people to sprinkle some dollars on. If you would like to be involved a little bit more with High Limit Racing and get in on the action, make sure to go to nxtbets.com/playhlr. You can claim a sign-up bonus there, and on that website it'll also show you which sports books are available in your area, whether you can bet on the outright winners or the DFS, the Daily Fantasy Sports. That's available in a lot more regions right now for High Limit Racing. But if you'd like to be involved, make sure to go to that website. And guys, we're going to be going to lunch here soon, I'm sure. So we'll exit the
golfing?
second. We're going to go golfing. I think we're going to go golfing. Tony, you want to go?
No, but lunch sounds fun.
Oh, yeah. He's good. Tony's good at lunch. He's not good at golf. That's for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the High Limit Room. We'll see you next Tuesday.